Dr. Nwosu, what convinced you that there's potential in it? And how easy is it to convince the corporates? I just told you now, how many people go to a stadium? The soccer, I understand.
Well, truly, Nigeria needs to diversify its economy away from petroleum. And over the past 2 years, since the new government came in, the emphasis has been, how do we grow the economy outside oil? Now, sports as a business, by the time Nkechi had explained the details to me, well, we came back home in the NESG. I'm in charge of the real sector of the NESG as a facilitator. And I spoke to our CEO, I spoke to my colleagues in the leadership, and we said we need to do the research of this. And with the NESG, we always work based on global best practice. So we research what happens in the English Premier League, in the La Liga, in France, in the US, and now recently growing in China. And we find that this country is a major exporter of football because we don't only export goods, we export services. Yes. Do you remember when Nigeria used to export doctors under the technical age cost scheme?
Drain.
Thank you. And Nollywood. So now we export a lot of football talent who go to take the passports of other nations. We find that Nigerians spend their own money going overseas to watch football games. The amount Nigerians spend in betting, the opportunities in real estate development when you come to build stadia. And we just analyze the entire sports value chain, starting with the football value chain. And we found that if you optimize that value chain, starting from the hardcore skills, to building the venues, to marketing, the TV rights, to branding, it's either that the banks, the financial sector is not listening, or they don't understand what are the values there.
Now, you've been in this industry forever. Yeah. Like you said, I'm not going to buy just because it's Nigerian. It's got to be right. So we haven't got it right, have we? I mean, you were in charge of the... I didn't even know it was a third-tier league. All I know is Zeyimba and Bendel Insurance and Kanu Pillars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I started off a few years
Sorry, I keep going to soccer. It's just,
yes. No, if we get... You see, football is probably going to be the tide that raises all boats. You get football right, everything else is template. Everything else can follow that template and get it right. So the fact that we haven't got football 100% right, or not even, we're not even 30% right, but we have started the journey. I must confess, the work that's been done in the Premier League in Nigeria is commendable by the LMC because they took a model and decided to even adopt that model. The challenge they're having now is to actually get the clubs to raise their own standards.
What's the model? I hear Super Sports space, money to have...
Yes, but that's all over the place. They adopted the English Premier League model, but it's being managed by a company, a company owned by the clubs yes, technically speaking. That's what the English Premier League is. The shareholders of the EPL are actually the clubs who play in the EPL.
Oh, really?
Yes, they are. You know, so it's when you drop out, you lose your position, and a new person comes in. So every year, the shareholding keeps changing. So they adopted that model here. But the clubs themselves, first and foremost, the company, the LMC, trades the collective rights, which in most cases the broadcast rights and the naming rights. It trades it on behalf of our clubs here. So that's what Super Sports pays for, the broadcast rights, okay? Fine. Now, the clubs themselves are not supposed to now develop their own value chain to keep making their own additional money. That's where, you know,
there's a disconnect.
So that's
you have television rights, but we don't have the stadia to the level that we attract.
You can't do much in the stadium. Listen, I want to come to the stadium. I want to eat nice food. I want to have a comfortable seat. The restrooms should be nice. I want to use wireless in the stadium. I just want to hang out with my friends. So the venue of a match is very, very critical. Because many times it's not the match a lot of people come and watch. They are coming to hang out. It's a fellowship, it's everything. Let's share our passion. So you got to make the place comfortable. You can't invite somebody to a party and your restroom is dirty, will you? So the clubs need to step up. But the challenge is the clubs are, 80% of the clubs are owned by government. And there is a call on government money now that doesn't enable them for other things. Like, is it enabling them to spend money on this Ministry of Play and Small Picking, as they call it? So the clubs themselves have got to get... the clubs themselves have got to get their own capacity up and running, which was what now took me to the third tier of the league, where the clubs are 100%, nearly 90% owned by private sector.
So how many clubs do you have in this league?
189.
Existing, playing, and...
They play every week.
So where do they make their money from?
You see, they are the ones that serve as the feeder for players going upwards. They're the feeder clubs.
Like the...
Young players.
Like the nursery.
Nursery. So a lot of players that go abroad actually come from there. They are playing in Vietnam.
So who owns these clubs?
Individuals like you and I are this one. Like, you know, I tell people, opening season game 2 seasons ago was Woodhill FC versus Shekarau Babes. Shekarau used to be the former governor of
what state
Kano,
is this?
Kano, in Kano. And I had 10,000 people in the stadium.
Paying?
Whether they paid, they didn't pay. The thing is, we have them. Let's now find how to take 500 naira out of their pockets. 10,000 people, 500 naira, that's 5 million naira. If I'm getting 10 million naira a month, and I play for 8 months.
That's 80 million.
Exactly, first and for one. Then if I sell meat pie and Coke.
Anyway, I must take a break. I'll take a break, and when I return for the second half of the conversation, I would like you to break it down for me exactly how businesses can revolve around sports. So I'll be back shortly. We'll take a break.